7 cursed rules you must follow inside the Collector's Haunted Museum, or you'll vanish forever. Part 1. The Invitation You Can't Refuse. It started with a letter. A thick, ivory envelope sealed with deep crimson wax, bearing an elaborate emblem I didn't recognize. It arrived on a rainy Thursday afternoon, just as the storm clouds swallowed the last light from the sky. The letter inside was handwritten in elegant, looping script. You are cordially invited to a private midnight tour of the Collector's Haunted Museum. Attendance is mandatory for the chosen. Failure to appear will result in consequences most severe. No name, no return address, just a date. Tonight. I should have thrown it away, burned it, done anything but what I did next, because curiosity, as it always does, got the better of me. I'd heard of the Collector's Museum before, whispered urban legends passed around campfires and dingy dive bars, a private collection of cursed objects, haunted relics, and sinister oddities that never saw the light of day. Some said the museum itself was alive, constantly rearranging its halls, trapping those who dared defy its rules. But no one I knew had ever been inside, not and come out sane anyway. Still, part of me wondered if the letter was some twisted prank, until my phone buzzed with an anonymous message. We know you received the invitation. Be at the iron gates at midnight. Do not be late. And below it, a live photo of my house, taken just seconds ago. A cold weight settled in my stomach. I didn't have a choice anymore. Part 2. The 7 Unbreakable Rules. By midnight, the rain had become a cold mist, shrouding the streets in a thin, ghostly veil. I stood before the towering iron gates of the Collector's Haunted Museum, its silhouette barely visible against the night sky. The mansion loomed like something torn from a fever dream. Gnarled spires, crooked windows, and walls that seemed to breathe. As the clock struck 12, the gates creaked open by themselves. A pale man in a tailored black suit waited just inside. Holding a lantern, his face was gaunt, his eyes 2 sunken pools of ink. You must be the chosen guest, he rasped. Follow me. The rules must be obeyed. He handed me a faded card, its corners frayed and stained. On it, scrawled in crimson ink, were 7 rules. The 7 rules of the Collector's Museum. 1. Do not speak to any of the exhibits, no matter what they whisper to you. 2. Stay on the black carpet at all times. Stray, and you will be lost forever. 3. Never look into the mirror of forgotten faces. It remembers you. 4. If a doll smiles, run. you're already too late. 5. At precisely 3:33 a.m., cover your ears. Ignore the knocking. 6. Do not touch any locked doors. Some things are not meant to be disturbed. 7. Before leaving, leave behind something precious, or something will leave with you. The pale man gave me a final, unsettling grin. Break a rule, and you'll join the collection. Then he vanished into the darkness, leaving me alone in the foyer. The heavy doors slammed shut behind me, and the museum began to breathe. Part 3. Voices from the Shadows. The air inside the Collector's Museum felt unnaturally thick, like breathing through damp cloth. Faint candlelight flickered along the grand corridor, barely illuminating the faces of grotesque, life-sized wax figures that lined the walls. Some were posed as noblemen, others as soldiers, and a few looked frighteningly modern. Their glass eyes seemed to follow me. I clutched the card of rules tighter, reminding myself, stay on the black carpet. Don't speak to the exhibits. A soft voice brushed against my ear. Help me. I spun around, a wax woman in a faded wedding gown. Her lips hadn't moved, but her glass eyes glistened with something unnervingly real. Don't leave me here, the voice whispered again, mournful, desperate. My instinct screamed to answer, but rule number 1 was clear. Do not speak to any of the exhibits, no matter what they whisper to you. I forced myself to look away and pressed on. Ahead stood a grand mirror, ornate and cracked, its surface clouded. The card in my hand warned me. Rule number 3. Never look into the mirror of forgotten faces. It remembers you. I tried to avert my gaze, but a flicker of motion in its surface caught me, my reflection waving at me while I stood still. My stomach dropped. The reflection's face twisted, grinning too wide, and then silently mouthed, "Stay forever." I tore my eyes away and hurried on, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. From deeper within the museum, a faint tune began to play, a childlike melody, eerie and warped by distance. As I approached, I saw her, a porcelain doll sitting atop an old rocking chair. She turned her head and smiled. I froze. Rule number 4. If a doll smiles, run. You're already too late. The chair began to rock violently. Shadows flickered against the walls. A dozen other dolls peeked from nearby shelves, their tiny glass eyes gleaming. The doll's lips parted. "Mine," she hissed. I bolted. As I sprinted down the hallway, the museum seemed to shift, the corridors lengthening and twisting behind me. Part 4. The Room of Cursed Relics. I burst through a heavy oak door, slamming it shut behind me, my chest heaving. The faint tune from the doll's room was still audible, like a mocking lullaby, chasing me through the walls. Before me stretched a vast chamber, shelves stacked from floor to ceiling, filled with ancient, dust-covered artifacts, shattered masks, ritual daggers, animal skulls, jars of cloudy liquid holding unidentifiable things. In the center stood a stone pedestal with a decayed book chained to it. My rule card trembled in my hand. Rule number 5, never touch the Book of Lost Names. It can summon what you can't send back. I stepped carefully, making sure not to brush against the hanging charms or strange bird-like totems overhead. The air here was heavier than before, like something unseen was pressing down on me. A cold draft brushed past, and a raspy voice whispered, "Read it." The book's pages flipped open on their own, names scrawled in dark reddish ink. One of them gleamed brighter than the rest. My name. I staggered back. No, I couldn't. But behind me, footsteps. Heavy, deliberate. I turned to see a figure cloaked in tattered burial wrappings, its hollow sockets leaking thin trails of black smoke. The collector. He reached a bony hand toward the book. Sign it or stay. I did the only thing I could think of. Grabbed a dusty lantern from the shelf and hurled it at the pedestal. Flames erupted, the ancient paper catching like dry leaves. The collector shrieked, a sound like tearing flesh and breaking glass. The room began to shake. I bolted down another hallway, barely keeping balance as relics toppled and glass shattered around me. Behind me, the collector's screech echoed, furious and relentless. Up ahead, a grand set of iron double doors. A plaque above them read, "Final Exhibit, the Living Hall." And beneath it, Rule 6, you must leave before the hour strikes 3, or you never leave at all. I glanced at the antique clock on the wall. 2:57 a.m. 3 minutes. I pushed the doors open. Part 5. The final exhibit. The Living Hall. As the iron doors slammed shut behind me, darkness enveloped everything. The air was thick, the scent of old wood and decay pressing into my lungs. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight, but the screen was dead, lifeless. Then a dim, otherworldly glow lit the room. Dozens of glass display cases. Inside each, people. Some asleep, some wide-eyed and frozen mid-scream. All unmoving, preserved like macabre trophies. A small faded sign hung above them. The ones who broke the rules. My stomach turned. I recognized one of the faces. The girl from the photograph in the lobby. Frozen in terror, trapped for eternity. At the far end, an ornate grandfather clock loomed, its pendulum swinging steadily. 2:58 a.m. A final rule card lay at my feet. Rule number 7. When the final bell tolls, you must exit through the mirror gate. Do not look back. If you see your reflection move, run. A tall antique mirror stood against the wall, its frame carved with snarling faces. The surface shimmered unnaturally. Then, the bell chimed. Gong! I sprinted for the mirror. Gong! Behind me, the display cases cracked open. The frozen figures began to move, their heads turning toward me, glassy eyes unblinking. Gong! Their lips parted in unison. Stay with us! The last steps to the mirror felt like running through water. My reflection stared back, then smiled. No, I lunged, shattering through the surface. Cold hands grazed my shoulders. A chorus of whispering voices chasing after me. I landed hard on the motel lobby floor. Everything was silent. The collector was gone. The grotesque paintings, the relics, the clock, all vanished. In my hand, the final rule card turned to ash. I stumbled out into the night. The sign over the building's entrance now faded and unreadable. A single text popped up on my phone, now working again. You survived. For now. Would you dare visit the Collector's Haunted Museum? Drop a fire if you'd survive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to uncover more horror rules you must never break.